Imagine the following scenario with me. It's midnight on Friday night. You just had the best time going out with your friends, but now you're tired, so you're home to fall asleep. Forget undressing. You just jump in bed and you go to sleep. But suddenly, you hear the crash of glass in the room next to you. You stand still, startled by the fear and the unknown. What do? You decide to hide under your bed, but first you grab your phone. You dial 911 and you call the police and you tell them your address and what is happening. But you hang up because you hear two deep-voiced men walking down the hallway. They get to your door. They whisper something, but you don't know what they said. They slowly open your door. Now you ask yourself, how is this going to play out? Are you safe? Are you going to be hurt? Then you think a terrible and horrifying thought. What if the police do not arrive in time? And when they do arrive, will you even be alive? Now, I'm not here to make you worry, to make you double check the locks on your doors, to make you question your home security. I'm here to inform you of a problem. The problem is the amount of time it takes for police to respond to 911 calls. On average, there are 240 million 911 calls a year. And of those 240 million 911 calls, 38% are life-threatening. Now that's 91 million situations. Now take a guess. How long does it take to respond to those various incidents? 1 minute? 3 minutes? Even 5 minutes? No. The average response time for American cities is 10 minutes. And almost always, the owner of a house and the intruder that intrudes into the house will meet within seconds. Now that's anywhere, on average, from 10 seconds to 10 minutes, you have to survive on your own. Now these minutes that seem like forever can be the matter of life or death for either yourself or your family. Now if we solve this glaring problem, the problem of police response time, we could potentially save millions of lives in the future. So let's examine the issue before providing possible solutions. Police response time depends on two factors. One, the severity of the incident, and two, the distance between the nearest officer and the incident. All right. So, in American cities, police forces use a coded system to classify the severity of their calls. This tier system ranges from threatening to non-threatening. In a Code 1 scenario, the danger or crime is happening. The police are dispatched as soon as possible and try to get there as quickly as they can to avoid loss of life. Common Code 1 scenarios are bomb threats, gunshots, hostages, or violent intruders. Compared to a Code 1, Code 2 means that there was a hazardous situation, but there is no longer a threat to someone's life. This can be a minor burglary, property damage, or a small car accident. Code 3 means that there is no threat to someone's life, there is no property damage, and the suspect has left the crime scene. Such as, oh, I don't have any examples, my bad. All right, so continue on. Dispatchers, they get calls about 911, and they inform the officers of the calls. So they tell the officer the incident and what code it falls under. Now, the officer will decide, does he need to leave immediately, or can he wait and continue the work he's doing? Say, he's dealing with a life-threatening situation. He gets a call about a fender bender. He is not going to leave just yet. They have to make these judgment calls daily. They have to make this, and it can sometimes risk the life of other people. No matter what, they try to get to every incident as quickly as they can, no matter the code. So, moving on. The second factor that determines the response time for police is the distance between the nearest officer and the incident. For example, think about a rural community. Houses miles apart, roads that last for hours. It is not uncommon for communities like this to have a very small police force. Now, therefore, because of that, calls often go out to county sheriffs who cover a very large distance. So imagine the following scenario with me. Out in the country, someone is in a physical altercation and shots are fired. Calls go out to the dispatcher and it is clearly a code 1 scenario. The dispatcher asks for the nearest available unit, but there are none within 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 miles. All right. All right. So, how do we solve this problem? We will move on. But next, what happens? Think about cities, huge cities. Cities like San Francisco, Chicago, New York. More often than not, the distance between the crime and the nearest officer is not that far away. So let me ask you this. What if you take away half the officers patrolling a district? What happens to the distance between the nearest officer and the crime? It gets longer. It gets farther. This means that there will be a longer response time. And if that means that there's a longer response time, what are we going to do about it? Next, think about this with me. We live in an upper-class suburban community, much like the one we live in. The response time is so low, it's 3 to 4 minutes on average. So why is this? On average, the response time is so low because geographically, our community is not that large. Secondly, compared to less areas that have less funding, we have funding. We can provide officers, and those officers cut down on the response time. Now, what if we provide more funding? What if we solve the problem? This funding will allow for more patrol units. Now, these units will be out in the city. They will be patrolling around, and they will be able to react faster to various incidents. Now, these incidents are very depth and worthy, but let me ask you, if we provide more funding, we can make that response time go from 20 minutes to 10 minutes. And then even more funding, we can go to 5 minutes. So, now you move on to the question, what do we do again with that money? We provide, again, more funding to the police force. When we provide more money to the police force, first off, they not only are there to respond faster to various incidents, they are present, and they can prevent the crime by being a presence. Now that just means talking to citizens, following up on felons, and just in general being more available than not. So, with that being said, what if we provide more funding? What if we all could make the police arrive in time to help you hiding under your bed before the unimaginable happens? Thank you.